Welcome to another episode of Spooky Season Songcast. I'd like to thank our special guest, Tom, for telling his story. He went way, way back for that one. It's interesting what you can remember from being a little kid and what you forget or block out. Or maybe you remember it different than it ever happened. There's a few things that you can really, really remember. I was growing up in lots of little towns out in western Massachusetts, and I'm pretty sure I was in kindergarten or first grade playing in Northfield down by the pond, and I saw this super crazy creature. I can still remember it now. It was like one of those fish with legs, or it was like a fish that came up in the mud and then was just walking on its legs. And I just remember that it was huge and it was real and it was slimy and it was definitely happening. And I ran screaming. Nobody really believed me what I saw or how I described it. And our story from Tom takes place in a Ford Pinto, which back in the 70s, those are very scary things to be in. You could get rear-ended and, boom, burst into flames. And the best part is, they knew before they even released the car that it was a problem, but the guy who was running Ford at the time was so fixated on the price, not going $1 above the set amount, that even the $5 it would take to save hundreds, if not thousands of lives was not worth it. So they rolled out the Pinto in its amazing vintage colors, and some people died. Some people got hit from behind. It burst into flames, and they died. But they did a recall, and I guess they fixed it? So anyway, Tom made it. Don't worry, no spoilers or anything, but it is kind of scary that he was up in that Pinto. You know, I believe in aliens, and I'm always searching the sky. I never know when I'm going to see something or feel something or be touched by something. Who knows? Hopefully not touched too personally, but I did see one crazy thing that I can't really explain. I was in West Virginia playing a house show, and up in the sky, it almost looked like a chimney with a bunch of little black pieces of soot flowing through the sky, but it was like these hundreds of little black particles were moving, almost like, a check moves through the chute at the bank tunnel, or like they were in a channel or some kind of lane through the sky, where they got up, they moved from A to B across the sky, and then they were all gone. There was nothing on fire, there was no smoke, there was no sound. Many of us saw it. I got it on video. The video's not very good. But it just doesn't make any sense to me what that was. The only thing that kind of makes sense is if it's something really big that you wouldn't want to attract so much attention that you could dematerialize it or break it down into smaller particles and then just move it across this chute. It looked effortless. It was silent. It was way up in the sky. And then when it's out of sight or it's through the next wormhole or whatever the fuck, then you put it all back together. But I don't know what that was, but I'm pretty sure Tom knows what he saw. So take it away, my friend.
Hello, my name is Tom, and here is my spooky story. Hello, 1, 2, 3, test. Can you hear me at all?
Oh yeah, I gotta just get in there.
All right.
This is not awkward, is it?
Get all up in that shit.
Hold on, I'm gonna start recording the safety over here. Your wife is gonna be like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
I'm just walking halfway through.
It's 11 o'clock at night.
Whatever happens, that's all right.
Oh, this is toxic. Okay, what's your name?
My name is Tom.
And what's the story you're about to tell us in this spooky season?
The story that I have to tell you is about the time that I saw what I 100% sure, or at least at the time I was 100% sure, was a alien spacecraft. I would estimate that I was 9 years old at the time, and the goofy, quirky thing that would make you think, well, this is just a hallucinating kid, is we had spent all day at a theme park called Marriott's Great America outside of Chicago. The whole family's there, riding rides, spirally lifting, spinning things with lights, right? So, overstimulated kid, right? We get in the car, the sun is going down, we're driving home.
Who was in the car?
So the whole family's in the car, my dad, my mom, my sister, and me. If I remember correctly, this is right before my smallest brother was born. Yes, he did not exist yet. So, get in the car, we're driving. Now, important to note, we were not near the theme park at this point. We had been driving for a while. We were not right by the theme park that had all the spinny, lighty things, right? All right? But also worth noting, I'm an overstimulated kid that spent a whole day at a theme park. So, I'm in the back of the Ford Pinto that we were using as a vehicle back then. Yes, I managed to not die in a raging fire in a Ford Pinto that they're famous for. I'm in the back of the Pinto, and I'm a kid, so the parents are up in the front. Dad's driving, mom's in the passenger seat, my sister is back there. It has enough area in the back that you can lay down as a kid, and I'm going to sleep for the 45-minute or so drive to go home. And I'm looking up through the big back window of the Ford Pinto, and I saw, and again, I can't stress this enough, we were nowhere near the theme park anymore. But I looked up and I saw a disc of spinning lights. Like if you took a frisbee and put 8 little lights around the edges of it and threw it, if you were underneath that thing, but it was 50 times bigger than a frisbee or 100. I saw this spinning disc moving across the interstate from what would have been the left of the car to the right of the car. And as I'm sitting here describing it, even though I know this couldn't have been I know it couldn't have been an actual spaceship, right? It couldn't have been a spaceship. It definitely wasn't a spaceship. Definitely not a flying saucer from some other world. Except, what the hell was it? Again, even though we had been at a theme park full of this stuff, I was not asleep at all. I was wide awake at this point. I'd gotten in the back to fall asleep, thinking it's going to be a long time, but I was not asleep. And I saw this spinning disc of lights go over the car from what would have been the left of the car to the right of the car, clear as day, as clear as I'm looking at this thing that's recording me I'm talking into right now. I mean, it couldn't have been yet.
How high off the ground was it?
It would have been something in I would say 300 to 500 feet. It would have been
way up in the sky,
up
it was
above.
huge.
It was up above the trees, but it wasn't up in the clouds. It was the height of a medium-sized building in a city.
Did anybody else see it?
My sister didn't see it. My family didn't see it. And as soon as I saw it, I immediately jumped up and ran. You can't run in a car. I climbed over the seat. I just saw a flying saucer. And, my parents said exactly the sort of thing you would expect. well, you just been at a theme park with all these lights and all these spinny things and all this what you just kind of just your brain is making stuff up. Your brain is extrapolating. I don't know. I don't remember the specific words they said, but they, why would they believe that? That just doesn't make any sense, right?
So it went left to right.
Yeah.
And then did you see it again after that?
I didn't see it again. I just saw it for the span that I could see it from one side of the road as it went over us. I could see the trees to the left. It came over the trees, it went over the car, and to where I couldn't see it anymore. And then I was so excited about it, I didn't immediately look to follow it. I went forward in the car to tell my parents about it. And then when I told them about it, and they said, that can't possibly be real. I looked and I didn't see it anymore. But there's nothing in that part of the highway, that there's nothing that would explain a visible thing going over the top of the interstate in that part of the interstate. And there was the fact that I was awake and jumped over the seat to show my parents, hey, look, I saw a flying saucer. I really believe I was not asleep and dreaming it.
No.
I saw a thing that I can't explain.
Yeah.
Even now, I mean...
And you remember it.
I know it can't be, like, a flying saucer from,
Why can't it?
I mean, it totally can't, except what was it? Like, what was the thing that I definitely, absolutely, 100% saw?
Describe the lights. What colors were they?
I can't... They weren't all the same color, but they weren't, like, deep... I have the picture in my head of it. It wasn't, like, deep red or deep blue or anything, but they were all a little, like, variation. It was, like, all light-colored, but maybe, like, super light blue, super light red, super light, each light was a different color, but it wasn't, like, a deep saturated color. They were very light-colored and variation, I would say that not one light was the same color as another, but they weren't, a really big punchy purple or a deep red or anything like that. It was...
and it was round and it was...
It was round.
Big.
It was just... It was big, like, if I took my memory here of the perception of how big of how it was spinning, I would say, I'm trying to extrapolate this here, but like this, it was a slow rotation. It wasn't like spinning fast. It was a slow rotation as it moved across, maybe like five revolutions per minute. Like very slow revolution.
Was it a saucer?
It was a circular shape. All I saw was the lights. I couldn't see a disc.
Yeah.
It made sense that it would be a disc, but I saw a circle of lights spinning, and based on what it looked like, I described like how far away I thought it was. I would have to say that it would have been something like 40 feet wide.
Wow.
And we're sitting here on my front porch of my house. My house is 50 feet wide, if I'm not mistaken. And so I would estimate it at being 40 feet, like a little bit narrower than my house.
That's four basketball hoops in a row, 40
Yeah.
feet. Wow. And nothing weird with the technology in the car as far as you were aware, or missing time or anything like that. Just
The technology.
hey, mom and dad, it's a UFO, and then they said don't worry about it, and that was kind of it.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of technology in a 1974 Pinto, so I don't think there was anything there interfering. The recollection I have is I got in back knowing that I would fall asleep, but I wasn't sleepy yet because I just got out of a theme park. Like I'm like an overstimulated kid, you know. I wasn't actually ready to sleep yet. I know for sure I wasn't asleep. And I wasn't like a kid that actually believed that there's such a thing as flying saucers. I liked the idea. I thought it was cool. Like I was into science fiction, but not in a delusional, maybe it's real kind of way.
Yeah.
So this was a completely out of nowhere thing. Like there was no part of me hoping, oh boy, I hope there's little green men coming to take over America. You know.
Do you know what the date was roughly, or the season? Summer.
It was definitely summer because it was a theme outdoor. You know.
It was summer, and you were 9.
It was summer, something like around 9 o'clock. You know, 9. So this would have been 1978-ish.
And this is outside of Chicago?
This is not far outside of Chicago.
Okay.
Now, this is the sort of thing that, to be fair, if this was a real thing that had actually happened, you know, this was an interstate full of cars. I mean, someone would have reported it somewhere, right? Then again, there's no such thing as the internet back then. Like, where would you even post it? Like, it's entirely possible that, you know, maybe somebody who was behind us, because I was seeing it out the back window, it was going over us, but like slightly behind us. All right, so somebody behind us who was driving could theoretically have seen this, but who would they have told? Where would they have posted it? That was not a thing back then.
And since then, have you looked, seen, felt anything?
I've never seen anything like that at any point since approximately 1978.
Wow. I'm glad they didn't take you up there. You don't, especially as a child, you don't want to go up there.
I mean, how do you know? Like, what sort of things could they have taught me? I mean,
I'm pretty sure they just like
maybe I would have
weird sex stuff up there.
Maybe I would have found I didn't need all these organs. Maybe being a brain in a jar would have been the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, or you want to be hybridized?
I mean, do I get to pick what I'm hybridized with?
I don't think they're big on consent. The abductors.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're not huge on consent, but I'm glad it just was a flyby.
It seems to have been a flyby. I still can't really come up with any rational explanation, but I was...
Could have been an airplane.
No, absolutely not. The spinning was... the spinning of it was undeniable. It was clearly a circle. It was clearly lights in a circle spinning.
It didn't make any noise?
It didn't make any... No, it was... I mean... A, it was pretty high. B, we're in a car on the interstate, so if it made any noise, there's no chance I would have heard it.
But if it was a plane, like a fighter jet or a helicopter...
Oh, yeah, something like that, absolutly. A helicopter for sure. And if it was any kind of jet or even like a turboprop plane, those make plenty of noise that would have been perceptible. So Blimp. I'm going to say no on the blimp.
Why would it be in suburban Illinois in the evening?
In the evening, like 10 miles past where the theme park was. I don't know. That doesn't make much sense. Wow. So I don't have a conclusion. I'm not here saying I saw aliens in a spaceship. I'm not here saying I was a hallucinating little asshole. I don't really know what that was, but I know for 100% sure what I saw, and that I was not like one of those kids that made up bullshit stories. So just take it for what it is. It's I don't know what it was, and it's a memory that it's like one of those kid core memories where it's weirdly clear how clear I remember that that image because it was so bizarre that like my brain latched onto it. I can still see it in my head.
That would be a pretty vivid dream.
Yeah, despite absolutely no possible way it was. I mean, it was not real, right? It couldn't have been real.
Could have been.
But then, I saw it.
Well,
I don't know.
What if you said, my name's Tom and this is my spooky songcast? Or this is my spooky story. Or some shit. That'll tie it up.
Hello, my name is Tom, and here is my spooky story.